Hey everyone, Mr. Short here. So I'm going to do one or two videos on Google Earth. They'll be focusing on different age groups, with the first video for everyone, all age groups, and the following video for some exercises for higher grades to have some fun with. This is actually the second time I'm making these videos. YouTube's giving a lot of problem at the moment, so please excuse the delay in these videos arriving. But yeah, YouTube is, I think, struggling a bit with all the traffic during the lockdown. It seems like everyone on the planet is on YouTube at the moment. Anyway, let's have some fun. So, first off, you'll see I've got clouds all over my planet. If you don't have any on your Google Earth, which is free by the way, I've included the link in the description of the video, you can turn that on over here with weather, on and off. So as you know, we are struggling a little bit with rain in South Africa and, well, a lot of the southern countries of Africa. It's an awful drought, especially places like Zimbabwe. So I thought I'd start by showing everyone how can we track weather, accurate weather, with Google Earth. So that's why I've turned this button on over here where my mouse is, weather. Now, the satellite photos on Google Earth range from just a few years old to up to 2 to 3 decades, possibly more, using satellite imagery across the whole planet. However, weather is updated within a matter of hours. So what you're seeing here is actually basically real time. It's happening right now. All these clouds and winds and systems you see happening, weather systems, this is happening now. So we can use Google Earth for the purpose of tracking and predicting where weather will be. So let's start off by doing that. Let's take a look at what's happening on the weather on planet Earth. In case you don't have a mouse, perhaps you're using an iPad or a smartphone and you need to rotate your planet or zoom in and out, which one usually does just by clicking or rolling the wheel, you can use these tools in the corner. They're there basically for users of laptops and smartphones and iPads and so on. So don't forget about these tools. Anyway, so let's look. First off, you might have noticed we've got a long ring of cloud going all the way around the planet, almost symmetrical. Can anyone, maybe the higher grades will know this, figure out why we've got a cloud system over there and why it's been there for so many days? Well, let's look where it passes over. You'll see it's very green in the middle of Africa, Congo and all those countries. So why is it cloudy there? Well, you may have learnt about the equator, and these clouds pretty much match the equator, and that's why it's so green and nice and rainy along those paths. But what about us down here in South Africa? As you can see today, the weather is pretty rainy, or going to be pretty rainy, hopefully, crossing fingers. But where is all these clouds coming from? Where are they coming from? So you can see down here, there are some massive clouds. These are really big. In fact, let's measure them. So how do we use the measuring tool? Right up here, we've got the ruler with all these buttons. We've got a ruler here. We can click it and just drag it away out of the main area. And now we want to draw a line. You can do a path too if you want to do multiple lines to see how long it takes to get somewhere while taking, turns here and there. But we just want a straight line. So we're going to use this, and we're going to make sure it's on kilometers, not miles or anything like that. So kilometers. And let's measure this one cloud here. So I click. You don't have to hold the button in. And you click again. Almost 6,000 kilometers long. That's huge. So where do such large clouds come from? Well, where are these clouds coming from? Aha, the South Pole. And if you look at it, you'll notice that it forms almost a spiral around the South Pole, with these cloud systems coming off. And it does make you wonder if they're turning like a clock. And if we look at the clouds and the shape they're making, it almost looks like they're turning clockwise. That means they're going around like that, which would mean this long trail of cloud where it gets really thin just before it touches us. Those are the clouds we're getting in our sky right now. You can see there's a few here and here moving over. So what we have to do is really, really hope that this gets a little stronger as it moves over. But how do I know if I'm accurate or not in my prediction? Well, I did say weather is real time. That means I can log back, maybe this evening, maybe in 6 hours time, and I'll take a look again at this weather system here by us in South Africa, and we can see, has it moved? Has it moved that way? Where is it going? So prediction with weather can be a lot of fun and useful on Google Earth. You can see it's so dry here, but if we zoom in, you'll see the bottom of South Africa is sort of green, and that's because the mountain ranges and the whole system here in South Africa at the bottom basically cuts off the rain from going any deeper, the clouds, sorry, from going any deeper into South Africa. It gets lost over the land. So that means the more northern parts of South Africa up here are, they are suffering a bit at the moment. But if you look along the east coast, or in fact almost the whole of Africa, the northern half, it's very green. So there's this patch here that's just not getting any water, or not enough. So let's hope this huge cloud system coming off Antarctic gets us over here. Also, if we turn the planet around a little bit and we take a look at some of the other cloud systems, you'll be able to spot things like the forming of a storm, or perhaps a hurricane. Be careful for zooming in too much. You'll notice the clouds kind of become hard to see, and if you zoom in too much, it becomes very hard. In fact, sometimes they even just disappear. So there's kind of this nice range here that you want, where you can see everything without it getting too muddled or disappearing, because the cloud system can be a little glitchy, the weather system sometimes on Google Earth. So we've played a little bit with measuring. We've checked out the cloud system a bit. Let's do a little bit of searching for some interesting places. I know one of the things new learners who are introduced to Google Earth for the first time almost always want to do, heck, even adults like to do this, is to find where they live or go visit places they'd like to go to. I like to use Google Earth for a lot of purposes, and in class what we've also done is played with it for finding ancient sites, ancient ruins, when we've been doing a bit of research. And let's take a look at one such example, a very interesting place to visit on planet Earth. How do we do that? So we can type in over here in the white bar, Easter Island, which is kind of apt since we just had Easter. You'll notice when I type in Easter Island, we get a long list. The first one says Easter Island, Chile, and that's because the island is owned by Chile. It falls under their government. So here we go. Hey, where was that? So let's zoom out quickly. How did I find Easter Island? I typed it in, I pressed enter, and it's to the left or to the west of South America. So let's zoom back in there. Easter Island. So what makes this island so interesting? Well, all the stone heads created by, if I remember correctly, a tribal people known as Rapa Nui. And if we click on some of the photographs available, you might get lucky and find one that's looking at some of the heads, the stone heads that were built. If you can't see these little photograph icons, on the left where we've turned weather on, there's photos. You just need to turn that on. So let's try. We've got what looks like a crater here. Let's click on one of these photos. Okay, now that's just the ocean around it. Here we go. And if I click on it, the picture, it should load and become very, very big. There we go. So we can get a nice close view of what's going on. And there are thousands of these on the island, if memory serves, or I could be exaggerating, maybe it's hundreds, but there are many of these heads. I believe one of the things that is still quite a mystery surrounding them is apparently the stone needed to build them. We're still a bit puzzled about how they managed to acquire so much from this island, which apparently doesn't have a lot of the type of stone that was used to create them, which makes it a very interesting mystery. But this is Rapa Nui, and up here we can go back to Google Earth. And here's a little exercise before I finish this short YouTube off, something the higher grades could try, and that's measuring and finding the area of places, how big an area is. So if I go ruler and I measure that comes to 15 kilometers. And if I measure this side, just about 15 too. So if we look at it this way, it almost looks like a right angle triangle. So how do we work out the area of a right angle triangle? We times the half base times height. So half of 15, let's call it, I don't know, 7 for now, just as a rough, times 15. So we end up with 70 plus 45. That would be 115 square kilometers. And to make sure I'm not going crazy with bad mathematics here, let me use my calculator. And yeah, my mathematics is terrible. It's 105 kilometers. I'm not sure how I did that. But that is this area of Easter Island. What makes it a bit hard to appreciate the size of things like this island is that there's nothing next to it to compare it to. So if you want to get an idea of just how big 100 square miles is, well, let's measure out 15 kilometers by 15 somewhere in South Africa near Cape Town. You can get a good idea for just how big this island is. So this area here, that whole area there is Cape Town. So let's take our ruler. Okay, so there's 15 and about there. So this area, just this area of Cape Town, and maybe 1 or 2 suburbs, Milnerton included. Yeah, that is the size of Easter Island. Pretty small when you compare it to other things. Anyway, so it's always good for comparative purposes. Also, don't forget, especially for the younger ones, you guys and gals should be having a lot of fun in a program like this during quarantine. There are so many things you can do with it, including checking out places you'd all like to visit someday. Okay, so try it out. Get Google Earth installed on your computer if you don't have it. It is free, and you can find the download link in the description, or just type download Google Earth in Google and you should get it. Anyway, I will be releasing one more video on Google Earth just to include some ideas for exercises for the slightly older grades and what they can do. One quick thing I wanted to share, I just forgot about it, because I know it's a very easy thing to forget how to do it. If you want to play around with Street View, don't forget the way to do it is in the corner here where you've got your movement controls. If you move your mouse there, this little orange man appears and you can click and drag him into any road, well, most roads. And after a few seconds, the camera takes us down and transforms it from a satellite photograph into this. And we can go down the road either by double-clicking into the distance or using these buttons. Anyway, have fun, and I hope you folks are all safe and well. Cheerios.